When I started, it was like SEO was like AI. You created a website, and without any effort, you automatically got ranking. You could have gotten away with using mediocre content. These articles that looked like they were made by ChatGPT, even before ChatGPT was made, with long paragraphs, takes writers that want to succeed to a next level where they really need to think and research the article.
Welcome to the AI Marketing Show. My name is Isabel Bedoya, and today we have a special guest. His name is Ben Pines. He is the Director of Content at WordTune and AI21 Labs. So first of all, Ben, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited to chat with you. If some of you guys might have heard already about WordTune and about AI21 Labs, you know, they've been recently all over the news. They're making a lot of they're making a lot of big moves in the AI space, and even recently they just received a $1.4 billion valuation, which is insane. First of all, Ben, huge congrats to you and your team. How do you feel about all of this excitement going on?
Thanks. Yeah, it's great. I joined just a bit before the generative AI boom, a bit over a year ago, and this whole industry has exploded, and it's been very interesting to see the challenges and to develop the products.
Absolutely, it's a really fast-paced moving industry. Just out of curiosity, how did you get started with AI?
Yeah, well, I've been in the content industry for, I don't know, over 15 years. And at my previous job, I actually used the tool. I used the WordTune. I heard about it and I tried it and I found it amazing. And then I was so happy to join the team and see all of this happening. I mean, we have the applications, WordTune, that allows you to summarize and to create content, and we also have AI21 Studio, which allows other companies to take our large language models and use it to power their own products.
Wow, that's really cool. And when you, I guess going a little bit backwards, I know you mentioned you've been in like content for about 15 years. Tell us a little bit about that journey. Like, how did you get started? What have you been up to? And then eventually, you joined this team.
Well, it's really interesting also with the perspective of how content and SEO and everything looks like now with the introduction of AI. So when I started, it was like SEO was like AI. So you kind of use these, you created a website, and without any effort, you automatically got ranking. And, Google evolved and started caring more about what you could only rank if you created actually valuable content. And my career has evolved with the evolution of content, of video content, written content. And I think AI is now the continuation of the same evolution. And it's been really amazing to write about this and use these tools to develop our own content at the company.
Just out of curiosity, you mentioned a couple of styles of content. What's your personal favorite?
Great question. So I actually love evergreen content, which means the content that actually requires a lot of research and that is supposed to be relevant for a long period of time. So what I usually focus on is blog content, which are, case studies and tutorials and listicles, and web page content, which is supposed to deliver the essence of the company, but also YouTube and videos in general, short videos for social media, for YouTube. There's emails and ads and social media posts, I usually, these are my favorite assets. And I tend less to like the live webinars and this kind of content that has value, obviously, but I think it's less useful if it's live and then it goes away.
That's really interesting. So it's really creating things that can live on the internet for a long time without having to really touch it.
Well, I do find you need to touch it. You need to update, and there's always, if you come back to articles you've written 6 months ago, there's the industry changes, especially recently. So that's the nice thing about writing articles and writing website copy, that you can make those changes even if it's an onboarding email list. Then you can spruce it up, make it even more relevant to your target audience or a new target audience. So kind of the work never stops, and I love it. I love the fact that you're evolving and you're improving as your knowledge does.
Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like just refreshing it, making sure it's up to date. Wow, yeah, that's really cool. And when you're creating like that style of content, do you have like a checklist or like parameters that you like SOPs that you build for yourself to kind of keep you on track and always knowing what when to go back, what to go back to?
Oh yeah, definitely have a checklist that is also I find needs always updating and fine tuning. I think a lot has changed in the past. I think I have a unique perspective on the introduction of generative AI tools, wherein I think it caused us as writers to really think about what we do. Like if in the past, you could have gotten away with using mediocre content, these articles that looked like they were made by ChatGPT even before ChatGPT was made, with long paragraphs, kind of talking very high level, the kind of B2B articles that are sort of generic. And I've always, like, for years, I've always looked at these articles and said, who is reading them? And I think it passed off because, this was the available content. And now you can just produce these articles at scale. And what that does is it causes the consumers, the people who are supposed to read it, to be a lot more suspicious and a lot more challenging. And because they know this article might have been created by AI, so it just takes writers that want to succeed to a next level where they really need to think and research the article. Like, who is the persona? Is it a social media manager? If so, after reading this article, are they actually going to use it? Is it something that gives like general advice that you always see? For example, like set a goal. For every marketing article, you always have this line like set a clear goal. Okay, like does this tip does it have to appear on every article I see? So yeah, that caused the original question was the checklist. So yeah, definitely there's a checklist that I make sure what is the TTV, time to value. How long do they need to read until they get something of value? What is the hook? I spend a lot of time just proving the hook, proving to the reader that what they're just reading was somebody actually researched. So maybe add a relevant statistic or share your unique point of view about the topic. A few things that it's a long checklist, so I won't be able to go over everything, but this is just the beginning of how I see like content creation. And now it's kind of like the Matrix. I know it's an old reference, but you look at an article and you kind of see the code behind it, the thinking process of the writer behind it, just by skimming it and looking at visuals and looking at the way it's been written.
That's really interesting, and all of that makes sense. Having a clear goal, the hook. The hook is across any style of content is super important. I'm curious, like, I know you mentioned some of the articles sound robotic. What are your thoughts about AI generated articles, and do you have any tips for people that are using that to make it better?
The biggest aha moment for me was the understanding that if you write a prompt, no matter how elaborate it is, and you get a bulk of content like 500 or even more, it's really hard to go over it and determine, is this useful? You actually spend more time. And obviously, the content you produce will be less validated because you didn't go over every idea there. It's just a bunch of like 28, like an article can have like 20 different ideas. And if you're not at the helm, it's not only not necessarily helpful, it's also kind of dangerous because what are you saying? This is your name. And what exactly are you saying in there? How have you corroborated it? So my advice is go paragraph by paragraph. Hopefully, I'll show it later on how I actually do it. But using AI more to elaborate, to expand on what you're writing, do a lot of research. I use AI also for different phases. So know the different phases what you're working on. There are different prompts when you're ideating, and when you're researching, and when you're writing, and when you're optimizing and editing. So different mindset, even I would say, when using these tools and different tools. So that's very important. Once you have the article, the content that you created, I would go over an AI content detector. That's important nowadays for SEO and also for kind of making the content sound more human. We actually released an AI content detector. And the great thing about the tool that we released is that it's integrated. You can use WordTune to rephrase some of the sentences to sound more human. This is important for every content you create. So videos, obviously, they need to sound human because you're saying it, and if you sound robotic, it's just going to be a disaster. But also, people like to read in a way articles also that's very readability, accessibility. So these are the things that I would recommend. Another tip is when you're starting to use AI, before you write the prompt, the topic should be very much baked in your mind, like your point of view, what else is written out there. Supposedly you should have read like at least the three most popular articles on Google on the same topic, research it, something about this topic, just so you don't get what AI wrote and just accept it with the confirmation bias, like accepting everything that it writes, because that's just a horrible way to write. Also, the way AI creates content is usually sporadic. You have a prompt and it doesn't have any context of what else you've written in the past. And that the way to handle that is just to write yourself on the same topic. So try as a writer to write on similar topics. This way, you'll have in your brain the connections and the context between different topics. So you'll be able to challenge what AI produces even better. You need to be very critical, again, about anything that AI produces, corroborate it with sources. And one last tip is just super important to step out of the virtual world. It's super important to not stay in the digital world. AI even draws us more into kind of being in digital and not talking to real people. So stepping out, for example, if you're writing an article on quitting smoking, if you're not going to quit smoking yourself, at least talk to someone who quit smoking, because AI can produce things about quitting smoking, but AI doesn't smoke. So that's super important, just to stay connected to to the real world. Also because it's fun to actually live and talk to people and laugh and make jokes.
No, that last part was super interesting because, it makes sense. It's like write a article, make sure that it's well written. I know you mentioned reading the top 3 best articles just to make sure, like, what's the standard. And then the last point about like adding other voices, essentially, like adding other human experiences, that's super important. Diving in a little bit deeper and getting a little bit more technical, when it comes down to like when you're writing blog articles and stuff like that, have you found any success using AI for SEO?
First of all, yeah, definitely. I like every content piece I write or edit, I use AI to improve the process. I find that things that are helpful is to feed it some of my examples. So let's say I'm writing about the 5 best techniques to use on social media. So I'll feed it like 2 examples that I have. I don't know, sharing personal stories or copying from influencers. And then the level of when I feed it as a prompt, like give me 5 examples of social media tips and use these tips as reference. The level that you get is much more closer to what you actually want. Yeah, what else? There are different tools out there, and I would say combine the best of them all. I usually work with some of the things with WordTune, like getting statistics and expanding on paragraph. I also use ChatGPT more for research, actually. Optimization is also a big part of it. So if you write an article, publish it, it gets traffic, gets conversions. Over time, more and more people will publish, if it's a good topic, will publish on the same topic. If you do nothing, then your content will slowly go down. And what I sometimes do is feed the article and use ChatGPT to say, okay, what are areas that I covered, maybe competitors didn't cover, and just explore other directions to optimize. I think people fail to understand the power of article optimization using AI.
That's really interesting. And diving a little bit deeper, I know this is a common topic when we get into SEO, but what about programmatic SEO?
Yeah, for sure. So as I mentioned, AI 21 Labs includes, it's a unique company because it includes applications, WordTune, which is a B2C and B2B product that you can install on your Chrome browser, but it also offers like LLMs as a service that other companies that build LLM products can use to develop their product or their website. And programmatic SEO, basically the idea is to create content at scale, to create a lot of AI generated content that's helpful for users. It could be on, hundreds of thousands of products, or, summarizing thousands of books. Really, the ideas and abilities are endless, and then you can get these pages to rank. And so definitely this is an underexplored topic. Someone who does talk about it a lot is Eli Schwartz. He does a podcast with Kevin Indig about SEO. And I think we'll be hearing more about these things. And it's super easy nowadays to connect using API to either our services or OpenAI services and create these programmatic SEO solutions. I think SEO experts really need to jump on this train because it's really amazing. Also to create kind of personalized pages at scale. Think of hundreds of languages and personas and ages, etc., and adapting the content to fit the exact person.
That's really interesting. So by doing that, you can rank a lot faster, right?
It is a challenge because it's kind of on the border, but I think you can definitely create content that is not spammy if you use these tools correctly, and actually you can offer something of value. So think of Canva's templates. That's a great example where they created hundreds and thousands of pages that people actually go and use them. So if you're able to feed with these large language models, you can feed the models your data. So if you have 1 million products on your site, each one with kind of a breakdown of their features, you can use the language models to create customized pages that actually speak in a way people can understand, and someone looking for a specific product can find it on Google because the content is presented in a very accessible way using natural language.
That's really interesting. That's really cool. So, moving into talking a little bit more about WordTune, would you be willing to share your screen and give us a little bit of a walkthrough of what WordTune can do, maybe even touching on some of the newer features?
Yeah, let's try. Sure. Okay, so I mentioned before the difference of going to ChatGPT and just getting a long article, and a lot of people find it, rightfully so, not the best way to work and write. So I'll share it a different way. Let's say I'm writing about email outreach, and I'll start with a sentence that I wrote here. One great way to get people to respond to your emails is to use FOMO. Okay, so yeah, it corrects my spelling. And then I can just get it to either continue writing using no prompts at all. So how much more natural your brain doesn't have to think you are a marketing guru, and you're just writing the prompt sometimes takes you out from writing. So it just continued without any prompt. So this is cool, but you can also expand on. So let's say, give me 3 ways to get people to respond. It understand the context. Okay, I don't need to explain with a full prompt. It also reads the whole sentence, so it gives me some interesting options. And then I can, let's say, I choose one of them. So start with a compelling subject line. So let's talk about the email subject line. So hopefully I can choose adding a statistical fact just to make it more interesting. Subject lines that use words like urgent, breaking, important have been found to have higher open rates, and actually gives me a link where it got it from that I can click and get the exact place where it's from the HubSpot blog. And this is as you can see, it's a great way just to be sure it's not hallucinating, because some AI just hallucinates these ideas. This way you can corroborate the facts. And you can see that what I've been doing here, I've been, working with AI. I'm not just getting a full thing and just trusting that it's true, or working very hard to edit everything. writing with AI. It's a much better kind of way of working. And I can also go to the WordTune Summarizer feature. And if I uploaded here a few sentences, you can upload by uploading a PDF, importing a link, or pasting text. So I have a library of my documents. And one cool feature that we've recently added is asking your library a question. So I have here an article about 100 fascinating facts. So here you can see the summary of each of the ideas, and you can also see the summary, what it's based on. So one of the ideas here, it's about the most requested song. So I can go back and just ask the library, what is the most, I can phrase it however I like, requested song on funerals. And it searches my library, and it searches my entire database. So think you can upload 10 research articles on any topic and ask it a specific question. You don't go through, for researching, you don't have to go through 10 articles. And yeah, it says, here's the song. If it doesn't find the answer in your documents, it will say, I didn't find the answer. And it gives you the exact area where it's based on. And I can go to see the source. So these are two features that I just showed that really can elevate your creation by making your research more accurate and by making your writing faster without sacrificing your ownership of the content.
Wow, this is absolutely amazing. That's really cool. So basically, WordTune can, it can grab all of your documents, summarize them, so it's like accelerated learning. It can then search within your documents. It can turn all your documents into a database, and then finally, it can also help you generate content, right? In a nutshell.
Yeah, exactly.
That is absolutely amazing. Wow. Just a quick question about like the summarizer. I have been using this tool a lot recently too. And what do you think, like, is there a limit in like the amount of pages that you can upload?
Yeah, it works on documents, it can work on PDFs, on articles that are pretty long. We still aren't there in terms of books. Like you can't upload a whole book, like a long, 100-page book. It's still not there because there's a lot to be done. Like the technology is still not there, but we're working on it. And yeah, currently you can use it for documents, for PDFs, for scripts and any long form content that reports and really helpful to get a summary and just, even when you're researching, sometimes you're writing an article, you need to research and you need to go through a lot of these studies and research papers. So even if you're eventually going to read some of them, at the beginning, you're going to have to skim the content. So that's very useful just to know what are the documents that you'll eventually use when you'll actually read the whole thing before committing to reading the whole document.
That makes sense. And I really like the fact at one point you mentioned it's like hallucination free. I really love that. I don't know if you saw in the news, there was like a lawyer that used like an AI hallucination in the courtroom. For anyone that's listening, an AI hallucination is essentially anything that's like fictional that the AI creates, but it sounds super realistic. So it's just being careful. But yeah, there was a lawyer that used a fake stat. It was an AI hallucination in the courtroom, and it was like all over the news. So
yeah, I also heard about a book about mushrooms that it wrote, and it's actually dangerous because if you eat some of the mushrooms the AI suggested, they were poisonous. So these hallucination is very dangerous, especially if you're using it for something that's related to health or law. Like for sure, if it can quote. I used ChatGPT and it gave me a quote by a researcher, and I tried to find this quote, and eventually I discovered it just hallucinated that information.
Yeah, that's something to be careful of. But that's really cool that you guys have integrated capabilities so that it is hallucination free. It's super helpful for anyone, even for the workplace. So thank you for showing us the demo. Ben, I just have one last question for you. As everyone is like starting to navigate, the world of AI and marketing and all of the amazing tips you gave us today, what do you think are like some of the best ways or practices that other people and other teams can start integrating AI into their operations?
Yeah, I think the best way is not to go on the complicated integrations right away. So with WordTune, you can use it. It's a Chrome extension that anyone can use. It's SOC 2 approved and all that in terms of security and data and all, very secure. So you can install the Chrome extension and start using it on any of your tasks. So if you're writing an email, just getting rephrasing, not even content generation. Before you start generating content, think about rephrasing any of your sentences to make it sound better. So this can really help if you're using a non-native team or even native teams, just to express yourself better. So this reduces the need to use any integration or API. Your team just use the tool. We also have a business plan, so it's easy to kind of scale up from personal use. And the next level, I would say, is to have sessions, have workshops to teach people how to use the tools. Because what most people do, even if you're professional writers, I've given lectures to journalists and writers. They're used to working in a specific way for research and everything. And when they get the new tool, they can't get past that. You give it a prompt, you get a whole article. They can't work like this. Obviously, journalists, but also content writers. So being able to get the information about the new workflows, like I showed in the demo, where you're working with AI and not just being a slave of what it generates. I would also recommend having workflows and style checklists, like I mentioned earlier, to make sure you're consistent in terms of the level of content you're producing. If you're working with freelancers, it's super important to have a consistent level. Even if they are using AI tools, they need to use it correctly. I'm not telling my writers not to use AI tools. Instead, I'm just getting their articles and assessing it, to make sure it's written in a helpful way. And I would say think of your team's jobs to be done. Do they need it for emails? Do they need it for creating articles, for sales decks, for scripts? For each one, I would say it involves a different kind of process, possibly even different tools.
That makes sense. So basically, kind of to like recap, analyze the need and then encourage AI exploration, do workshops, teach them how to use it, and then encourage that they use it as well. I know you mentioned there a couple of things, but anything that comes to mind around like security measures that they should keep in mind?
You just need to choose a tool that is that has the security approval, like SOC 2, and once you do that, it's I guess it's fine.
Awesome, good to know. Cool. Well, Ben, thank you so much for joining us today. Where can people find you?
So I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. Just search for Ben Pines, and also check out. I would recommend the Working blog and our YouTube channel, where we try to come up with videos that are helpful and give a different perspective on the whole topic of writing and content creation for marketers and writers.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you again, Ben, for being here and for this amazing conversation. I'm sure a lot of people will find a lot of value in this. Thank you, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one.